What's up, everybody? My name's Marcus. This is my 1989 Chrysler Conquest. I'm going to take you guys on an adventure with me. Time for part 2. So I've done quite a bit of work while I was off camera. Started process of stripping the engine bay down and repainting the frame rails and all that because the paint was getting old and worn down and flaking off, and I figured it was time for a refresh. So where we're at now, I've got most of the passenger side stripped down with the exception of a couple brake lines and some wiring up in the front corner that I'm probably not going to touch. I'll probably just move it out of the way, paint behind it, and lay it back in place once it's dry. Now we're cleaning off the subframe and all that. Got the wire brush and all that charging up in the back. But so far, I'll let you see where we've been. So far, engine bay on the passenger side, mostly stripped down, like I said, with the exception of a couple brake lines and a nest of wiring right there that I'll reduce here in a moment. I've taken all these parts here, put them in a bucket over here to be put back in at a later date, with the exception of some of the parts that aren't going back in. But tonight's project, we're taking this subframe, sway bar, and steering linkage, and we are cleaning all that off, wire brushing it off, getting it clean, getting it prepped for paint. Now the next time we come through, that's going to be the project of stripping. All of that's going to come out with the exception of the fusible links. Won't take them all the way out, we'll just get them out of the way because again, that controls all the body controls, headlights, taillights, all that. And it's old, connectors are brittle, don't feel like messing with it. But yeah, that is the next project after cleaning all this off. So we'll go through, take the brake booster off, steering box, all that's coming out, and we'll be cleaning up the trans tunnel and everything around here, getting this whole engine bay prepped for paint. Like I said, got the wire brush or the impact charging over there right now to hook a wire brush up to it and just go crazy because I don't feel like doing it by hand. I'm lazy. But the issue I'm facing now is I've got one brake line, comes all the way across the firewall, wraps around the shock tower, down through a grommet to the brake hose. Now I don't want to take that off because the system still has fluid in it, and it at this moment doesn't need bled. It'll need bled later, so I'll probably just end up taking it off and getting it out of the way anyways, and I'll end up making a bunch of new lines. But that's where we're at. So I will come back in a few minutes once the drill's all charged up, and we'll get to wire brushing. I figure while the impact batteries and stuff are charging for the wire brush, I can take you guys on a little tour of the shop so you can see the absolute disaster that I'm working with right now, because it needs deep clean. Preferably, it needs completely clean. Not a quick clean, but a deep clean. But yeah, so on this side, we've got, just basic stuff, yard tools, all that. Generator hanging out in the back. That's going to go upstairs. Bunch of plastic we use for an underbelly tray on here and front splitter. Pretty thick, pretty hefty. We got a welding table, which right now has become storage. Bandsaw. Our motor. Chem cabinet. Well, shelf. And then boxes. Roommate's box, my box, absolute nightmare. Bunch of good fluid down there that we will need when we put this back together. Drain pan and such, another organizer bin, battery charger station, attic up there, that's just storage. We won't go up there, there's nothing important up there. Engine parts, tool bag, special part for later. Bunch of parts for the second motor I've gotten here. All the stock replacement parts, cams and such. All the stock parts are in that bucket along with the intake. Another little piece for later. Cylinder head, valve covers. My workbench is in disarray after this poor little 4AGE got ripped apart on it. And it'll be put back together at a later date. Now we got over to this side. This was where we'll see, just disregard the other two cars. Storage wall again, extension cords, ladder, light, exhaust for another car, and more just floor cleaning stuff and just basic garage. Nothing fancy, nothing crazy. Just humble and basic. That is, yep, extension cords wrapped around the ceiling to run the lights because there's no outlets on the roof to run them. And that was the cheapest option. Broke college student life really, really getting to us. But yeah, so the table over there, got my welder on the bottom. That's where we'll probably be making up a bunch of the fab steel panels just to graft and kind of go from over here down across and just kind of seal this area off. I want to have this nice and flush all the way across. We'll go through and we'll drill out all of these pop welds here, get all that bracketry off and make it nice and smooth. I want to do the same on this side as well, so we'll probably eventually take this switch and relay block, move it down in here, get rid of the washer jug because we don't need it, and just hide everything under here. Probably use Zeus connectors somewhere up in here to hide a panel. And again, try to make it as flush as we can to come down and around to this rail down here and up to here. Try to get it nice, flush, smooth, and hidden away. In the end, I want to make this engine bay look as clean as I can, but still be functional and still have access to everything that I'm going to need. Drill battery's all charged up. Really beat up wire brush. We're going to get to little nooks and crannies on the subframe. I'm currently standing in the engine bay, you know. It's easier to reach stuff that way. So we're going to get in here and start just getting all the little nooks and crannies. I got another assortment of these little wire brushes in there. But we're going to see what we can get done, and hopefully we can paint the subframe tonight. Not going to bet on it, but if we're lucky and it cleans up faster than I'm thinking it's going to, and it's good underneath, should be able to get just spray it off, brush it off, spray it off, wipe it off, throw a coat of paint down, let it dry overnight, come back, throw another couple coats on it tomorrow, and we'll see where we go from there. Tell you what, I just went to town with a couple wire brushes, broke a few in the process, but this stuff right here, the heavy duty gel, this stuff is good. I like that. Literally just sitting here, I sprayed it down, watch the grease just drip away. But we're pretty close, got most of it cleaned up. Again, broke quite a few wire brushes in the process because the really thin needle style ones, you know, like that, where they just snap. You put any amount of pressure on them, busted. But yeah, soaked her down with the heavy duty gel. We're gonna let it sit for a couple minutes, come back in with some shop towels, wipe it all down, just get the final bits of grease off, and then I'll clean up the mess around it, that splattered stuff everywhere. So we'll be able to go ahead and spray the subframe down, spray general vicinity of it, and get all the dirt and stuff and get all that cleaned off and get a nice fresh coat of white paint on there. I will tape off the steering linkage and the sway bar because I'm going to do those a different color. Subframe is going to be white, engine bay is going to be white, steering linkage and steering box is going to be bright red, sway bar is going to be red as well, just like our motor. Our motor is going to be red and white as well. A little different than what I've got going on in the interior. Eventually I want to color match everything, but I'm not too picky about it right now. But right now the interior is black and red and triangles. I'll just show you yeah. Black and red triangles. Other than that, it's tan and black. It's a whole mix of colors. But eventually I want to get this thing sorted out. I've highly been contemplating putting the factory seats back in it just because they look right and they were pretty comfortable. They're a little narrow for me, but I'm a bigger guy, so a little tight. These buckets that I've got in there right now, they're pretty comfy, wide enough for me, so probably going to leave them for now, but eventually I want to put stock seats back in it and get the interior looking original. But in terms of the motor, we're going to go crazy out here in the engine bay. But yeah, like I said, we're just going to sit here, let it sit for a couple minutes, let some of the grease soak up that degreaser and all that, and just let it drip off. And I'll go back in here in a couple minutes with some towels and go ahead and clean it all off and wipe it all off, and then we should be ready for paint. Just a quick look at where we're at so far. All that degreaser just eating away at it, and it's just dripping off. Alrighty, so dried it off, wiped it off, got all the grease off. Then I ran out of paint. So I ran down, grabbed another can, and came back, started spraying, only to realize the wrong color. It was white, but it's not the same shade, so now it's mismatched. So I said, fuck it, kept going, we're gonna rock with it. I've got 2 more cans of it. But yeah, not the shade that I intended it to be. It's a little bright, but you know, it's still gonna look good. At the end of the day, it's a rattle can rebuild on the subframe. There's no rust or anything, just rattle can rebuild. So what more can you ask for? Went ahead, got that subframe all painted up, got these front joists painted back up too, because the degreaser got to them a little bit. That frame rail, getting this whole side sprayed down. Next project's going to be the trans tunnel. Once this is all dry, I'm going to work my way back and across. Say I'm going to come back tomorrow, hit that corner with some, tape off that hole there, drill out that plate there. I'm going to drill the rivets off that, take it off, clean off behind it, paint behind it, rivet it back on, and then somehow either work around or remove all that and carry on. But that's about all I'm going to do for tonight. That was the big project for tonight, was get all the grease off of that, because it's been caked on there for years. I don't think anyone's cleaned the underside of this thing since 1989. So that's all for me tonight. I'll catch y'all on part 3.